So, the biggest dating mistake people make when they send text messages isn't what they send, it's about what they assume about the text message.
Exactly. Some people can turn a text message into a full blown FBI investigation.
That is so true. Not just an investigation, but a whole court case, a psychological profile, a prediction of the future. They have it all mapped
Exactly.
out. And somehow, by the end of it, they've convinced themselves that the relationship is doomed.
All because someone texts, sounds good. Can you believe
Exactly.
it?
And what we want to talk about today is why so many people in midlife, especially after divorce, find themselves really obsessing over text messages, reading between the lines,
Yes.
analyzing response times, punctuations, emojis, and whether texting actually is helping us connect better or make dating harder. Welcome to Saying Yes Again.
A podcast about second chances, real love, and opening your heart after heartbreak.
We're your hosts, Dr. Lisa,
And Tony,
a midlife couple who found love after divorce. And now we're here to share our story.
and to remind you that it's never too late to say yes again.
So put on your headphones and listen closely because your next yes could be the one that changes everything. So I want to start with a pretty common story that really comes up, I think, for a lot of listeners who, might be going through this same sort of scenario, right?
Let's hear it.
So women sometimes indicate when they're dating, right? Things seem great. They had a good first date. They talked on the phone. The conversation flowed naturally, and then one morning they sent a text
Oh no.
and then nothing happened.
Sent a text. Nothing
Nothing
happened.
dramatic. They just sent the text. Well, actually, they sent the text message that said, hope your day is off to a great start. And then what happened next is the person didn't respond, like for several hours, right? So time goes by, lunchtime goes by. She notices no text message. 2 o'clock, she's wondering, okay, now what happened? 4 o'clock, she's getting worried. And then 6 o'clock, she
Oh
has a
no.
whole story in her head
I'm sure she does.
about what
All
happened.
brought to life in her mind.
And by the end of the day, an entire story has been written about why this person didn't respond to the text message. Maybe he lost interest. Maybe he's seeing somebody else, right? Maybe the date wasn't as good as I thought. Maybe, I missed a red flag. Maybe I just shouldn't have sent the text at all.
Meanwhile, the gentleman just probably worked late, had a business meeting. Maybe he had to pick up the kids. Anything. Any one of those possibilities would have been feasible and could have been something that actually occurred.
Yeah. Or had
But
an emergency.
exactly.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
that's happened before, sometimes even with my friends a lot of times, you find out later that something actually, happened or that they were delayed for some reason. And we have to be understanding that life happens.
Apologies are in order,
Yes, yes, yes,
right?
yes. So then, the next morning he responds, again, like you said, could have been any one of those scenarios. There was no issue. There was no rejection. There was nothing. But here's what really fascinates me. The actual problem really isn't the delay in the text message, right? So we aren't
Okay.
really like stressing over that. The
Okay.
problem was everything that we think happened between sending that text message and the delay in the response.
Oh, that's critical. I mean, we end up translating that in so many different ways,
Yeah.
right? Creating our own conclusion.
Mhm.
That's the real conversation, you guys, right there. Because most people think they're reacting to the message and they're actually reacting to their uncertainty or their own internal inhibitions, trauma, etc. You and
Mhm.
I've been there, babe, right?
Yeah.
We've been right there. So that's what we're actually reacting to.
Yeah. Those assumptions again that we make up in our head, like you said.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So let's be honest, you guys. Dating in midlife is different. A lot of us didn't grow up communicating through text. Some of us didn't even have computers back then,
Oh,
right?
don't date us that far back now, honey.
It's okay. You know, we grew up talking, calling, having conversations face to face. And now, most of us, including myself to a certain degree, are resulting or relying on texting.
Yeah. It's the way of the future. I mean,
It's
that's the
become
way people.
reality now.
Yeah, yeah. It's quick, you know. People
Hmm.
we have our phones with us all the time. I think our generation has been trained by our young people, our
Hmm.
children. That's all they want to do
Yes.
is text. They don't get on the phone.
What does this mean?
Right.
What does this abbreviation mean?
We had to learn all that.
Whole
The whole
nother
emojis,
language.
everything.
Oh
Yes.
my God.
Because, when you hear somebody's voice, I think it's different. You get context about what the conversation is about. You hear their tone, right? Sometimes you can feel warmth through that conversation. You also, can also see their facial expression, which for me
Hmm.
is like super important,
Hmm.
right? You can hear excitement in their voice, all those things. Text messages actually take all that away. So now we're trying to interpret emotion from an 8-character text, with an emoji on the end.
Right. You said that perfectly. So all of those things like the body language, etc., in addition to the texting adds to communication. And
Mhm.
when you take several of those away, you end up in this position,
Yeah.
right? And again, we've all been there, right? Everybody interpret things differently. One person texts okay, and that means something totally different to 5 different individuals.
Mhm.
Okay, based upon where they're coming from, the way they've read or interpreted that text message.
Yeah.
The other person reads it and thinks they're upset. They're annoyed. They don't want to be bothered with me. They're no longer interested. They come to a whole conclusion off of the same text message.
The same text message,
So
yes.
this is serious, Dr. Lisa. This is really serious.
Yeah, because texting is part of dating now. I mean, it really
Yes.
is. So, and the challenge, again, really isn't texting. The challenge is that the texting creates this information vacuum, if you will, right?
Hmm.
So, all this information goes into this vacuum that we can't really control. And then we start to fill them with stories,
Yes,
right? About what we think the person is saying
exactly.
behind the text.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think, sometimes dating, and we give people advice about dating, right? That sometimes we may steer them in the direction of, you have to learn how to text. There's a texting strategy, right?
Okay.
Who should text first? How often should you text? How quickly should you text back? How long should you
Oh
wait,
my
right?
goodness.
I mean, that's just so much to try to really think about and decipher. And I don't think that's really the real issue.
Oh my goodness. Me either, because two people can follow all the same texting rules, texting bylaws, and still be anxious,
Yeah,
right?
definitely. Because the issue usually really, again, isn't communication. The issue is fear, right? Because you've experienced that disappointment and that hurt before. So you start scanning the text message for danger,
Hmm.
right? Not
Hmm.
connection, but danger. Like, let me try to find out where the holes are, where the gaps are. And not every delayed response, is evidence. Not every short message is evidence, right? Every missed call is not evidence of something
Not at all.
that's going wrong.
Not at all. How many times have you guys text somebody and it was totally misunderstood, totally taken out
Mhm.
of context? And you're sitting there kind of like, I did not
Mean
mean
that.
that. Would you please relax? Or how many times did you take a text message in the wrong context? I can name
Mhm.
several people that text me and just totally, had me thinking one way, so on and so forth. So I think we've all been victims of this whole texting
Mhm.
era or whatever you want to call it, Dr.
Yeah, the way
Lisa.
that we have to communicate now, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. So I think the thing is that, sometimes we again, we have try to gather all this evidence and we start looking for clues in the
Oh
text
yeah.
message
Yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
people.
I've done that.
Right? And people think that they're being observant, like, okay, I'm on top of it, I'm being observant, but you're actually overanalyzing, right?
Hmm.
So observant is kind of like you sit back and you notice things.
Hmm.
Overanalyzing is you assuming that something is happening because it went down this way.
Yeah.
right?
Let's just pick up the telephone and have an organic conversation that will rule out all of that.
Right, right. And I think, sometimes divorce or any sort of traumatic event actually, I
Yes.
think trains us to be in that state of just overanalyzing everything,
Yeah. We're
right?
hurt. We're hurt. We're coming from a very hurt place.
Yeah. Because if you've been, again, blindsided, if you've been ignored, if you've been misled in the past, felt like you wasted your time, if you've been disappointed, then your brain really starts trying to prevent that from happening
Yeah.
again.
It tells you that this person is not serious.
Mm-hmm.
The way that you're reading and misconstruing this text message, you may choose to feel like, oh no, here, I'm entering this danger zone again. This person can't possibly be serious. I text them like an hour ago and they still haven't responded,
Yeah, yeah.
you know?
Your fight or flight almost kinda kicks in, right? On
Definitely.
overdrive.
Definitely. 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 And I can confess something right here on our podcast live today.
When we get into the confession piece, here we go. Okay.
I think that most people aren't actually upset about the text, right?
Mm,
They're upset about what the text prevents them from knowing. Okay?
mm.
They're upset about what the text prevents them from knowing.
Yeah, explain it.
I mean, I'm in a certain mood. I want to talk to, let's use you as an example. I want to talk to you, have a nice organic conversation. So without even thinking about it, I feel like you should be in a place to receive my text message and have this conversation because that's the mood I
I'm
am.
in.
I concede this without even being cognizant of it. So I proceed to text you. Hey, what's up, Lisa? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, and this is truly her. 40 minutes, an hour. So now I'm kind of like, wow, because I prepared myself to have this whole conversation with you, not taking into account she could be busy, sleep, bathing, cooking, doing laundry, working in the yard, etc.
Mhm.
I've created this whole negative outcome slash translation,
Yeah.
you know?
Mhm.
So,
Okay. You got a point there.
yeah, yeah.
And I think, like you mentioned, we live this now today, but we've also, I think, definitely experienced it during our dating journey or dating each other.
Hmm.
Um,
We have,
we have, and you've brought this up before, this story.
and I will
So
bring it up again.
I think it just fits the topic that we're talking about today. So I am
Okay.
going to bring it up.
Okay. What
Okay.
story is that?
So that's the story
Let's see how well
of,
you remember.
oh
What
gosh.
story is that?
So there were times we were dating where you would send me a text and, or sometimes we would go a while without talking, right? Or
Right.
without texting. And you were pretty persistent. I mean, you'd follow up or whatever. And then my answer would be, oh, sorry, I didn't get back to you. I've been kind of hanging out at my brother's. And you tell this story all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you had a story about it.
Yeah. I mean, just like I said, I build up this level of anticipation, looking for a nice, intriguing conversation with you, because her conversation is it's a good one, very versatile, warm, soothing, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So on one occasion, she mentioned the same brother, one who I hadn't met. I hadn't gotten to that point yet, going over there for a cookout or
Oh,
something.
God.
And so then I called again, and she's going to this same brother's house for another cookout. I'm like, wow, how many times, how many cookouts does brother have a year? Right? Because of where I was, psychologically, et cetera, having gone through a divorce, whatever, like you mentioned early on, I needed a certain degree of certainty.
Mm.
Well, I started concluding that, apparently there's a Shaka
Mm.
Zulu or somewhere over there cooking those ribs,
Okay.
chicken, neck bones, or whatever.
My
'Cause
God.
I know you're not spending all this time with your brother, right? Now, later on, well, I guess we'll get into the later on, but this is the way I was thinking, you know?
Yeah, because you had created a whole, like, TV series around what you thought was going on.
Gentlemen, gentlemen, I know my gentlemen out there in the open market. What would you have done? Once? Okay.
Oh gosh.
Twice? Like, okay, are you over there hanging out with Shaka
Meanwhile,
Zulu?
meanwhile, there was a truth to what was happening, and it
Okay.
was incredibly simple.
Okay.
So I don't know. I haven't really shared the why. So after my divorce, my brother's house became my safe space.
Safe space.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
my healing space.
Mhm.
I was single at the time, obviously, because I'd just been through a divorce. Yeah, I'd been through a
Okay.
couple of, failed, whatever, dating snafus.
Uh,
And he invited me over for dinner often. So sometimes we'd just sit and talk. Sometimes we'd watch TV. Sometimes, I just wanted to be around family.
okay.
So I did. I spent a lot of time in my brother's house.
That's fair
And
enough.
I was exactly where I said I was.
Yeah, I guess she was. She was. And I felt absolutely this big for thinking or concluding or fabricating this whole story in my mind. So,
Mhm.
but again, she finally explained it and I realized something. The problem wasn't the text, the problem was me, my thought process. I built this whole story around what I thought,
What's
which was a
happening?
result of
Mhm.
where I was in my livelihood and the bruises that I brought to the doorstep as a result of my divorce, etc.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, lo siento. That's Spanish, baby.
Oh
I'm
my god.
sorry.
But, I think that's what happens sometimes to people, in dating. Someone sends a message, and fear starts writing the rest of the conversation. You start just, deciding in your mind already what that
Mhm.
meant.
Yeah.
Mhm.
A lot of it's normal and some of it's just not, it's just not normal, right?
Mhm.
It's all good though, because I wasn't reading her text messages. I was reading my uncertainty,
Mm.
right? As I mentioned before, I was reading where I was coming from. I needed, on the heels of a divorce, a certain level of certainty in my life.
Yeah.
And she wasn't giving it to me because I hadn't earned my stripes.
And
Is
I
that
guess
why?
I was also looking for a certain degree of certainty, and maybe my way of dealing with it was like, I'm not going down this road again, trying to get into a whole, drawn out relationship back and forth texting.
So were you playing me to the left
I
to a
wasn't really
certain
I
degree?
wasn't playing you.
Oh,
No.
okay. Let's clarify.
And that's what so many people are doing though. They're not reacting to what was said. They're really reacting to everything that they don't know,
And that's what we
right?
want to bring
The
up.
uncertainty. Yeah.
Yes.
So the more uncertainty there is, the more creative we get about making up these stories.
Yes, and
Right?
I'm sorry to
No,
interject
good.
here. And that uncertainty that she mentions is so common. It happens with a lot of us. We just want to point it out because what happens is when you bring that uncertainty to a new relationship, a new friendship, a new marriage, or whatever, it is so ugly. It is
Mhm.
so ugly. You don't see it, but the other person sees it. You reek it.
Yeah.
And what it does is it reminds them of a very scary moment that they experienced in their life in the
Mhm.
past.
Mhm.
And so it kind of doesn't work in your favor. So,
Yeah.
I end up having to text you a song called Hello. You remember that song? We won't get into that. That song just opened the door. We won't even talk about
Oh
that.
my
You remember
god.
Hello, don't you, Dr. Lisa?
I
So
do.
there's even another form of communication. You remember I told you, gentlemen, technique. That song said a lot.
Okay, so I have to share this. So after like not answering his text, and again, I don't think I was doing it deliberately. I think it was just out of fear.
Yeah, yeah.
Work with me here.
Okay, I'm listening.
So after not answering his text, like I
Several
said,
Texas.
he was pretty persistent. He sends me this song by Anthony Hamilton called Hello.
Yes.
And it just kept saying hello. Like in other words, where are you?
Another form of communication.
Oh my God. And it really did touch me. I was like, okay, so he's really trying to reach out. He's really trying to make an effort. He's saying, like, where the heck are you? I'm still saying hello, even if you don't want to answer the phone. And it was a good icebreaker.
And it also said, you left out the other part. This is potentially a perfect opportunity for you
Mhm. Yeah.
without you even being aware of it.
Yeah.
Don't run away. Don't be scared,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Come on over here
I
to
know that
Tyrone.
song. I don't even think that song's on any one of his albums. I think it was just something he did live at one of his
Hello, hello,
concerts,
hello,
but it
hello.
was it was just the best. Anyway.
Yeah, it was a lot better than me texting you something, like, totally negative.
Right.
"Well, I'm not gonna text you anymore. You're not
Anymore.
responding.
Right,
You must have
right,
another man.
right.
I don't have time for
For
this in
this.
my life. Are you
Right,
serious?"
right.
No. I use a third form of media to communicate, to intervene, and then I allowed her to conclude, "Okay, so what is he saying? Okay. Mm." But anyway,
Mhm,
you
good
like
job,
that.
honey.
You like that one,
Yeah, it was good.
huh? Okay. Alright. So, how do people stop doing this?
Mm,
How do people stop, bringing this level of uncertainty to potential friendships, relationships, marriages, or whatever?
yeah.
How do they stop drawing their own conclusions from a two-word text message? How do we do that?
So, first thing I think is we have to go back to it's just one text message.
Right?
Right? It's just one piece of data. Text messaging is just one piece of data. You don't have the whole story to a person's whole existence, their character, their life through just a text message.
Correct.
So I think that's the first thing.
Okay.
So, again, stop with the are they avoiding me? Are they with someone else? All
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. A text message can't tell you someone's intentions. It can't tell you their character. It can't tell you if they're in it for the long haul. And we have to just stop treating text like, again, these psychological
Yeah.
evaluations.
We need to start having an experience, a phone conversation, a date, and stop,
Yeah, just relying
like you
on that.
said, relying on that.
Second thing I think is important
Is
is
what?
to start looking at patterns, not just
Patterns.
moment in time. So one delayed text message, one, missed phone call,
Okay.
or one short reply shouldn't really dictate to you what you think that person is all about, right? But if it happens over and over and over and over
Yes.
again,
Yes.
then we're starting to develop a pattern and patterns can start telling you a story.
Yes.
But one
True.
moment in time, don't make assumptions about one moment in time.
No, not at all.
Yeah. And then the last thing I think is when you feel like a text triggers you, just
Mm-hmm.
ask yourself, what am I afraid that this text message means?
Mm.
Not, okay, what does this mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
What is that telling you about whatever
About
you're
yourself.
feeling, right? And what's going on? Because those
Right.
are two very different questions. Yeah. So
Yeah.
those would be my tips.
Okay. Those are some wonderful tips.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think where I land kind of on all of this is I don't think the person who is overanalyzing text messages are really looking for love. I think that they're
No?
looking for certainty.
Certainty. Yes,
Mhm.
definitely.
Yeah, because if
Definitely.
you go into the depths of trying to overanalyze every piece of, information that someone sends you via text, then it's not really love you're looking for.
No.
It's
Mm-mm.
really that certainty or that fear that's kicking in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's real.
Mhm.
That's totally real. Don't
Yeah,
block the blessings. Don't overanalyze.
exactly.
Just have a conversation.
Yeah.
Within our relationship as we were getting to know one another, we went through the part that we just spoke about. The next conversation we had, hey, listen, I just told her, listen, I've enjoyed these conversations immensely, as scattered and as fragile as they are. And you seem to be a wonderful slash beautiful person. I would like to see you face to face.
Mhm.
We can go out to dinner, wherever you would like to. I'll foot the bill if you don't like the conversation. Hey, we don't have
Mhm.
to go any further.
Yeah.
She asked me, she said, listen, so when would you like to get together? I said, tomorrow,
Mm.
right? Tomorrow. Let's get right to it. So there comes a time and a place where if you start to think too much, just just not bulldoze in, but just be truthful. Just be
Mhm.
straightforward and let them know, hey, I'm attracted to you. When can we get together? Go out
Yeah.
for drinks, dinner, golf, whatever you like to do.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I did to her.
Yeah, and I think, there has to be a series of, not only just text, but a series of communications, right, that happens, I think, before you get to the point of going
Definitely.
out, which I
Definitely.
think we did.
Definitely.
But, there does have to come to a time and a place where you're like, "Okay, let's move this off of the phone and meet in person," because, again, you can get to sort of really get a good picture of
Yes.
someone in terms of character and all those other things with
Mhm.
face-to-face conversation, right? You see facial expressions,
Yes.
context, emotional warmth, like, all of that.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. So I think that's really good. So I think that again, we have to stop just trying to decode rather all of these text messages and communications over the phone,
Yes.
and stop trying to predict the end before it actually happens.
Mhm.
Because if we can predict disappointment, I think most of us feel if I can predict disappointment or predict that thing that's going to happen, then maybe I can avoid being hurt or it won't hurt as much.
Yes, yes.
Hmm. Hmm. So I think, what I think most people miss is that the person who overanalyzes the text actually isn't, again, like we said before, looking for connection. They're looking for control. And
Mhm.
if you've been hurt before, then that makes total sense, right?
Oh, definitely,
Because there's a
definitely,
cost to that.
definitely.
So the more that you try to predict the ending, the less present, though, you are in terms of, being there for the experience that we
Yeah,
talked about before.
you're so focused on things that you don't need to be consumed or concerned with at that point, you know?
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
takes away from that experience that we spoke about. You're not
Exactly.
present.
You're not
The
present.
physical shell is there, but there's no one else in there,
Yeah.
right?
So eventually dating becomes less about connection, like we talked again, and more about trying to prevent future pain.
Oh, yes. Yes, exactly. And that can be exhausting, right? Oh, totally exhausting.
And
Woo.
it is exhausting. And I think that's why a lot of times we experience, again, dating fatigue because we are trying to decode
You're trying
everything.
to do too much.
We're overanalyzing everything.
Do too much.
We're doing a whole background FBI investigation,
Mm.
and it becomes exhausting.
I was exhausted until I just told you real candidly or suggested that we get together. Because in my mind, I was just fathoming this whole thing. And I think we mentioned this early in our podcast. I had got to a point right around those little barbecue situations at the brother's house where I just threw the towel in. I said, if it's this many barbecues, I'm out. I haven't been invited to one. I'm out. I'm done. And we went some months where we didn't communicate or
Oh
anything,
my god.
until one day I decided, hey, listen, let's just give this lady a call again. Come to
Mhm.
find out, I almost jeopardized a marriage. We've been married just south of 2 years right now. Actually, our anniversary is the 29th of this month. She probably
Mhm.
didn't think I remembered. But anyway, we never would have gotten to this point because I had totally cut off all forms of communication because of what I chose to think about her going to this infinite amount of barbecues at her brother's house. But now that I have that brother-in-law, we're over there all the time. He is very much the entertainer and he loves to cook, right? Yes. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
but yeah,
I think
so,
that's on both our parts, though. I think that, you overanalyzing could have blocked our blessing, and
yeah,
me not responding could have blocked our blessing.
yeah,
So, that's why I think we're having this conversation because we want
exactly.
you to not put yourself in a place where you could potentially, be blocking what could be a beautiful thing.
Yes, we want you guys to be happy, find healthy relationships, and free yourselves, right?
Yeah.
Free yourselves. Do not take that negatively because we have been there. And in some forms of fashion, we're still there to a certain
Mhm.
degree. We are a working
Work in
progress, right?
progress. Yeah. So the thing about uncertainty that I think is important to understand is that you cannot have connection without uncertainty, right? You have to have
Mm,
some degree of uncertainty. You cannot have
yes,
intimacy without uncertainty.
yes,
And you cannot have love without uncertainty. The two kind of go together. And I think that's why most people get stuck because they're trying to experience this connection while trying to also eliminate uncertainty. They want everything to be like a sure thing. It has to be
Mm.
certain. It has to be this way. But that's impossible. That's
Yeah,
really
it
impossible.
is totally impossible and unrealistic.
Yeah.
She has introduced me to so much uncertainty or so many different things via uncertainty.
Mhm.
Where the wine tasting in the mountains,
Mhm.
we travel extensively. I was always like Chicken Little on the edge. I don't want to go here. I don't want to do this. And now I want to go on vacation all the time. I want to go to the winery, so on and so forth. So some level or a certain degree of uncertainty is a healthy thing. So
Mhm.
please don't take it negatively, okay?
Yeah.
Right? So maybe it's not about getting better at reading text. Maybe it's becoming more comfortable not knowing everything yet. Again, uncertainty. Healthy dating isn't built on certainty. It's totally unrealistic. It's built on trust.
Mm.
We have to learn to trust one another and trust ourselves
Trust
again,
ourselves. Yeah,
right?
that's important.
So if we don't have trust in them and trust in yourself, I mean, what happens next?
Mhm.
You won't be able to handle it, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, if you've ever experienced somebody who's untrusting, that is just a burden. It is just so much unnecessary baggage and it just misconstrues everything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So I think that's why we want to have these series of conversations that kind of build upon each other to help
Yes.
you to develop that trust in yourself again.
Yes,
Because when you can
definitely.
trust yourself, then you can come across, as someone who's confident in dating, who's confident in moving forward in your relationships. And again, like Tony said, you don't bring that untrusting sort of cloud or behavior into a potential, date or potential relationship because you trust yourself,
Mhm.
basically.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when you trust yourself, then you stop turning every text message into a forecast of the future.
Totally. You stop telling on yourself, right? So when you're untrusting, you're revealing to somebody else your own intrinsic um, issues. So let's be cognizant of that. So if this episode resonated with you, or if you know somebody who could have benefited from this episode, please share it with them. Tell a friend, neighbor, relative, or whatever to tune in to Saying Yes Again so that they could equally benefit from our podcast as you have.
Yes, absolutely. Also, if you're recognizing that fear is taking over your dating life, right? And if you are fearful of, the text messages that are coming in and it's causing you just to pause, then we want you to join our Saying Yes Again community because we're
Definitely.
helping divorced singles develop that trust in themselves again
Yes, we
so
are.
they can take the fear out of their dating decisions.
Yes, yes, totally.
So, and if you'd like to meet other professional singles over 40, or if you're looking for, again, that genuine connection, join us at our next mature mixer.
Yes,
And we'll have the details on our website, sayingyesagain.com. So make sure that you subscribe and follow us.
yes. Keep in mind that you can also be privy to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and as Dr. Lisa also mentioned, our website. Correct?
Hmm.
So remember, a delayed text message does not mean that, this is the end of the road. Okay. It doesn't mean it's a status update on a relationship, friendship, or whatever. It is only one form or one aspect of communication.
Yeah.
So until the next time,
Until the next time.
we will see you later. Saying yes again.